Have you ever seen a home for sale and wonder, what's the story behind this home? The people who own it, why they're selling it. Everything may look picture perfect online, but no one talks about all the things that go on behind the scenes. The late night talks, the many decisions that have to be made, the emotions behind selling your home. My name is John D, and I'm a realtor in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and on my channel, I talk about relocating to Fort Wayne, new construction, and homes and neighborhoods in and around Fort Wayne, Indiana. Today, I'm going to talk about some of those things that I sit down and talk about with people who are potentially wanting to sell their home, what it looks like to navigate through the process and the emotions, figure out what their goal is, and also what challenges we may face ahead of time so that we can navigate that a lot easier. We all have our reasons for wanting to sell a home. There are a lot of them that are very personal. You might have a job change. You may be downsizing. Maybe you've had a death or an illness in the family, or you have an aging family member who is moving on to a new living situation. Sometimes it's for financial reasons. You may have debt that you need to pay off. Maybe you have a change in your family size. You have now separated or divorced, or you're joining two families together and your living situation looks very different than it did in the past. No matter the reason that you are choosing to sell your home, these are personal to you. If you send me a text message, I can help walk you through this process, but I'm going to share a couple of stories of some families that I've personally helped walk through some of the challenges that they have faced when selling their home. One family that I helped out had a family member that had moved on to assisted living. They had this home and really wanted to keep it in the family. However, financially, they needed to sell this home to help care for the aging parent. This was a difficult decision for the family. I wanted to be able to come alongside them and help in the decisions that they had to make. After walking through the home and deciding that they would be better off at taking care of the items that they would like to keep and donate, I set up a service to come in and do the odds and ends, the final touches that needed to be done, and some of the small repairs. Once we had this taken care of, we were able to go ahead and move forward with listing the home. I was able to handle all of the showings for the home as well as the inspections. The one issue that we ran into was needing to replace the furnace. There was a major issue that came up. Once they approved that, I was able to handle everything from there. We moved to the closing table and were able to provide the money that they needed to care for their family member. They said that they were grateful for not having to worry about all the details and having a lot less stress as we moved through this process. And the truth is, selling your home is really just step one in a much bigger process of the next transition of what you're doing in life. I had another family that I was helping, and this family had children. They needed to move because they needed to desperately pay off some debt. It was a hard decision to make to sell their home, especially with their kids involved. They had a lot of things that they knew they needed to get done around the home so that it could sell for the price that they needed it to be able to help them pay off the debt that they wanted to. I was able to sit down and break down a plan that worked best for them. We looked at a couple of items where we had a contractor come in and fix those. Then we were able to make a list of what was most important to get done in and around the home. They were able to bring in some friends and family members to help them to paint and get things ready and do the small repairs that needed to be done. And then we were able to strategically get a plan together as to when the home would be on the market, how we laid out the furniture. Was it always the easiest for them because it functioned well? No, but it did grab the eyes of the potential buyers. They walked through the process and we were able to get multiple offers on their home. Now they're living in their new home and their kids are thriving. And they don't have the added weight of that debt that they needed to pay off from before. As you know, there are a lot of things that need to be done before selling a home. I help to sit down with the families that I work with and think about option A, option B, and option C. This will figure out what is the most important thing, whether it's netting you the most amount of money, whether it is moving to your new home on time, so selling your house quickly, possibly, or something else. I want to tailor a plan that works best for you. Help you to figure out how we can move through these things with the best plan working for you. I have several connections with companies in and around town that help me with odds and ends, whether it's painting, flooring, major repairs like a roof or HVAC. I have connections for all of these. Let me help you to move from where you're at now into that next stage and make this one piece easier. If you have questions or have been thinking about selling your home, send me a message and I would love to answer your questions.